Hello, learners and leaders. I am so excited that you're here. I'm so excited for what we're going to learn this week. It's really fun. This week we have been talking about Where the Shadbush Blooms by Carla Messinger. We have learned all about the different names that the Lenape people give to their moons. We've done some moon math. We made a Play-Doh moon. We looked at the moon through our telescope or binoculars. We have talked a ton about the moon. But what we haven't figured out is, why does the moon look the way it does? Maybe we'll get into that. If you want to do all those activities and haven't had a chance yet, have your grown-ups go to my website. It's in the link below. And let's go look and see why the moon has craters. You want to figure it out? Come on, let's go. When we read this week's book, When the Shadbush Blooms, we talked all about the moon. We talked about the different names the Lenape people have for the moon and how they use those names and those moons to mark the passage of time and the passage of the seasons. Then we looked at the moon through a telescope or binoculars. When we looked at the moon, we saw that the moon isn't smooth. It might look smooth to our naked eye, but when we look through those tools, we see that it's not actually smooth. Why isn't the moon smooth? It's covered with craters. Why is that? Let's go find out. All right, to do this exploration, we're going to need a few things. We'll need 4 cups of flour, any kind of work. This is just basic all-purpose flour. We'll need a 1/2 cup of baby oil. You can just get that in the baby hygiene section of your store. We'll need some pebbles or rocks. Don't get anything too huge. We don't want to create a catastrophic event. We'll need a large bowl for mixing. And we will need some kind of a baking dish or a tin, a round one with sides. You'll need sides to hold your moon in. So before we can find out why the moon's surface is bumpy, we have to make our moon. So to do that, we're going to make some cloud dough. We're going to use clouds to make our moon. Crazy. First thing we're going to do is put 4 cups of flour into our bowl. We're just going to pour it in, get it all in there. Then we're just going to add our 1/2 cup of baby oil. Go ahead and pour that all in. The baby oil smells delicious, but I bet it does not smell like what the moon smells like. What does the moon smell like, I wonder? So we're going to just get in there with our hands and mix it up. At first it's going to feel pretty gunky, see, but keep mixing, and it's going to turn out soft and fluffy. When you're done, you should be able to kind of smush it together in your hand and it should hold together. So it can either be fluffy like this, or you can smush it and it holds together like that. And that is the perfect cloud dough. Now that we've made our clouds, we can make our moon. All right, so to make our moon, what we're gonna do is take our round dish, and we're going to very carefully pour our cloud dough into it. We're just going to kind of scoop it in there. You might not need to use all of your cloud dough depending on how big your dish is. Like, I'm not going to need to use all my cloud dough. And we're going to smooth out our surface. See how that's nice and smooth? Pat it down. And we're going to pretend that is the surface of our moon. We have already talked about how the surface of the moon isn't smooth. It's covered in mountains and craters. Crater is just a fancy word for a large bowl-shaped dent made in the earth or in the moon, made in the surface. There are craters all over the moon, and we actually have some craters on the earth too. This is a picture of Crater Lake in Oregon in the United States. That entire lake is a crater filled in by water. See, we have craters on Earth as well. How do we get craters? Let's find out. All right, grab your pebbles And we are going to pretend that these pebbles are meteorites. Meteorite is a fancy word for an object, usually a rock, that hits the surface of the moon or the earth and makes a crater. When it hits the surface of the moon, it's called a lunar meteorite. Double fancy word. Lunar is a fancy word that just means moon. So when we talk about a lunar landing or a lunar rover, that just means moon, a moon landing, a moon rover. Lunar means moon. All right, back to our moon. So we're going to take our meteorite or our pebble and we're going to drop it in. We're going to carefully take it out. And what do you see? That's right, a crater. Keep dropping and see what happens. All right, now the moon's surface is starting to look a little bit more like it really looks with all these craters all over it, right? That's what happens. Meteorites make craters. So I said earlier that Earth gets meteorites too. Why isn't Earth covered in craters? Well, there are a few different reasons. First, Earth has an atmosphere. Atmosphere is a fancy word for the invisible bubble of gas that surrounds our planet. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere. So, like I said, atmosphere is made up of invisible gas, which means we can't see it, but it's all around us. It goes far, far, far above our heads and wraps around Earth like a protective bubble. When meteorites run into that bubble, it's really hard for them to push through. As they push through, they get so hot that they start to burn up, getting smaller and smaller all the time as they move towards Earth. A couple other reasons why there aren't craters on Earth. First, most of the meteorites that hit Earth are small. Like we talked about, they get smaller and smaller as they burn through that atmosphere, so we have tiny meteorites that hit Earth. And then also, remember that the Earth is covered in water, a huge percentage of it is. So most of the meteorites that hit the ocean, and as soon as they hit that water, they lose all their oomph. So they're hitting the water, having all that oomph taken away, and don't make a crater. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere to burn up those meteorites, so any meteorites that hit the moon are hitting full size, and it doesn't have any ocean to take away some of that speed. So we're seeing all the craters, and they're all hitting full size and full speed. That's why the moon has craters. Whew, learners and leaders, great job. We made cloud dough. We figured out why there are craters in the moon. We created craters in our own moon. That's a busy morning. Along the way, we learned some fancy words. Let's review them. We learned craters. Crater is that big bowl-shaped dent in the surface of the planet or the moon that is made by a meteorite. Meteorites are large objects, usually rocks, that hit the surface of a planet or moon and make a crater. We also learned lunar. Lunar is just a fancy word for moon. That's it. And we learned atmosphere. Atmosphere is that big bubble of gas that protects our planet and keeps us safe from meteorites hitting. Great job, learners and leaders. You learned a bunch of stuff that grown-ups don't even know. Find your grown-up and share some of the stuff you learned with them. If you want to do some more activities and learn some awesome stuff about the Lenape people, go ahead and have your grown-up go to my website. I'll link it below, and look for the When the Shadbush Blooms activity packs. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can come along next time we learn. And if you had fun, share this with a friend so they can come along too. See you next time. Have a great day, learners and leaders.